We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully your day is going well. It is Friday. It's been kind of a busy week. We're going into the weekend. Next week sounds like when Fonnie Willis will be sending out indictments regarding Donald Trump, and we've got a lot to talk about that. But fortunately, on this program today, we've got a guest, and we've got a guest you haven't met before. Her name is Lisa, and she's from
Hi.
the great Northwestern United States. And Lisa, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me.
What compelled you to come on the show? I know a lot of people have talked about it, and they kind of step back and they go, I'm a little nervous about it. What made you decide to come on?
Yeah, it took me a while because I'm kind of chicken and I'm kind of shy. But I've been watching you on TikTok for a year, I think, over that. And we are the same age, same beliefs. And I was constantly rooting for you, watching you on TikTok, and I was just too scared to say anything or come on. And I was like, no, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, hell yeah. So
Yeah,
you were born in 1960 as well?
61,
61.
May,
Okay. See, you're the
May.
same age as my brother. I have a brother who's born in 61, but we're the same era. We
Yeah,
remember the same things. And can you
yeah.
imagine when we were growing up in the 60s? Let me ask you this: the 60s. People always tell me this is the worst time ever, and of course we were young in the 60s. But I think the 60s were just as bad as what we're dealing with now in different ways.
In different ways, I absolutely agree. But I think that our age difference, I know I remember the 60s. I remember when Kennedy was shot. I remember all the news footage of the Vietnam War and, your family talking. And it was like the world was ending.
Yeah.
And as a child and being that age, it felt like your world was ending, you know. But as an adult now dealing with these things, it's a little bit different. I think we think at a different level. And so it seemed worse when we were little. It felt like the world was ending to us.
Yeah, well, we weren't
I
we,
think,
we're, we weren't able to control anything, but at the same time, we were born in 60 and 61, and all the bad that was going on in the 60s, we didn't know any better. We thought that's just the
right.
fucking world.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then I remember when Kennedy was assassinated, my whole family thought the world was going to end.
Yeah.
I'm Portuguese and Hawaiian, and my family lived through Pearl Harbor.
Hmm.
And so they thought the world was ending then,
Right.
during that time frame. So I think each generation has gotten their scares, I mean, I can't believe our government has stooped to this level. The GOP has gone off the rocker.
Yeah.
I mean, I have never seen such idiotic, just mean, venomous behavior towards an administration and to other, Republican, even with Hunter Biden, and that whole thing. It's despicable. What name one bill that this GOP has passed since they've been in session?
Yeah. They haven't done anything. I think that back in the 70s, a lot of people felt the same way about the Republican Party during Watergate. But at
Right.
least at some point, during Watergate, even the Republicans said, "Oh, all right, fucking enough. You got to go.
Y-
This is crazy." But no matter how crazy it gets now, the Republicans, there's no limit to what they're willing to accept.
No, and I don't understand that. I think you're right. You had said something the other day about once these indictments start coming for the Congress, like Green, Cruz, all Jordan, whoever is involved with all that, once those indictments start falling on Congress, I think their focus is going to start on themselves
Yeah, no, I agree.
instead of Donald. I think they're going to start falling away.
I'm a big believer that in life you get to certain stages in your life or in the world or in the country that and I'm going to sound like a hippie here, and I'm not a hippie. I was too young to be a hippie, but whenever I've dealt with something, I can walk in a room and, like I could be in an argument with my wife. Now, I would never
Mhm.
argue with her, but she might be mad at me for any number of reasons, right? And so when you walk in the room, okay, this is not a good vibe. But then eventually, after you've been married 40 years, that shit's going to change, and then the
Oh
vibe
yeah.
changes, and without a word even being spoken, you can feel that vibe. And I think, and I think the same is for the country. During
Yeah.
Donald Trump's
Yeah.
reign and the last couple of years, it's been really weighted more on the Republican side. They seem to get away with everything. They seem to
Yeah.
have not be accountable for anything. But now the paradigm has kind of shifted. The vibe is
It
different,
has.
and it's going
Right.
south for the Republicans. We're not there yet, but it's going to take some time.
Oh yeah, it's starting to turn the corner. I can
Yeah,
feel it because I'll tell you, this new judge in this new case, um, I really think she's going to take him to task, and I'm really hoping that she shuts him down. This guy that just got killed in Utah today
right.
because he was listening to Trump and wanted to kill Biden and Congress people and made a big scene of whatever he did and then got killed because of it. When is this going to stop?
Well,
somebody
Donald Trump's been
somebody has
responsible
to
for,
stop this.
yeah. Well, Donald Trump has done a lot in hurting his own people. I mean, you've got this gentleman in Utah that was going to kill Biden, and then, of course, he gets shot by the FBI because of the whole fuck around and find out thing. But
Yeah.
we've got a lot of people that were affected negatively by Donald Trump. I mean, a lot of people. We had 1 million people die of COVID, and
Yeah.
we've heard that maybe three-fourths of them could have been saved had Donald Trump done anything.
Right.
Then we have the insurrectionist. We have what,
Mm.
1,000 people who have been convicted of insurrection. That's
That's
all
so
because,
far.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's all because of Donald Trump. And
Yeah.
so we have to wait and see when these people finally wake up and realize that he's not only hurting the country, he's hurting all of them. And I think when the indictments start hitting the other people, they're going to go, fuck, Donald Trump's not my friend. It's hard to imagine it's
Right.
taken this long to get it, but apparently they're not the quickest motherfuckers in the world.
Exactly. Oh, exactly. I mean, anybody with half a brain could see being on this man's side is not going to benefit you whatsoever.
Now,
Nothing good comes out of anything he touches. And they should be able to see that,
well, and
including their own careers.
right. Well, that's the thing is I've said all along, there's a lot of people that are sticking by Donald Trump right now. And when
Mhm.
it all goes down, they're going to realize, oh shit, I stuck
Mhm.
around too long. I mean, it's
Yeah.
one thing to be caught up in this, but not knowing when to quit, that usually is the killer for careers and lives and stuff. And there's a lot of people around him now that still support him that are going to be devastated career wise.
Oh, yeah. Well, look at Mike Pence decided to do a 360 and
Yeah.
turn his back on him. But I think it's too little too late for Pence. I mean, he doesn't have a chance to run. And I think it's just a waste of a lot of money for him to continue the race, just like Ron DeSantis.
Right.
Really, Mike? I mean, how can DeSantis stay in this race when he can slowly see himself melting,
Right.
you know?
I said something on TikTok today, and I want to bring it up because I think I may be right about this. I think the end of Ron DeSantis's run comes next week at the debate.
I hope
Because,
you're right.
well, the reason I say that is because he's not good with criticism, and
No.
debate's all about criticism. Now, if Donald Trump comes, they are going to tear him to shreds, or he is
And
going to tear.
debates are very quick. Did you see him debate Charles Christie? Did you watch any of their debates? I mean, he would stand there like a deer in the headlights
Right.
for
Right.
about 3 minutes before he would even give an answer. He's a terrible debater.
Well, and
And
that's the thing is in the debates next week, if Donald's not there, Chris Christie's going to be in his shit. And the thing is, he doesn't handle that kind of situation very well. He's socially awkward. He's kind of a dick,
very.
and he's going to look very bad on this. He's already losing support, and I think this will be the kill shot for him. He will expose who he is, and just by virtue of him not being a good person or a good
Yeah,
candidate, he'll be done.
I hope so. I hope you're right, because I think it's a waste of a lot of money, a lot of time. A lot of these donors that left Trump went to DeSantis, and now they're going back to Trump, or they're just holding on to their money, quote unquote, till a better candidate comes along. And I don't see that happening. And that's why, you know what, the other thing I don't understand is, why don't we have any Democratic candidates?
How do you mean Democratic candidates?
Why don't we have anybody running in the Democratic Party
For the
besides
presidential
Joe
primary?
Biden? Yeah.
Well, because that's pretty much standard. Most people, although we've got a couple people that are thinking otherwise, if you've
Yeah,
got,
they are meaningless though.
yeah, if you've got an incumbent president, the party usually doesn't try to run a primary against him. They're clearly the
Yeah.
strongest. They're clearly the strongest candidate, and they're just, we've got RFK Jr. There's a guy
What
in.
a joke. That boy is he's a mole. Why call a mole? I think he's a Republican in disguise.
I think he's more of a troll than a mole because he's just fucking nuts. His own
He is.
family hates him.
Oh, I know. Did you see the video they put out? Please don't vote for him. He's crazy. He
Yeah.
should not be running for president. That came from his own family. I mean, that should tell the people that, hey, there's something wrong with this guy. I mean, his track record says, look at me, there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
He was an anti-vaxxer. He's a complete conspiracy theorist. And then they're so bizarre. They're like Marjorie Taylor Greene, or they're just so bizarre. How could anybody in their right mind believe that?
Yeah, it's amazing how people following Donald Trump will take every circumstance and twist it into something that's going to be their advantage. Like, we know he's going to go to trial in Washington, D.C. And like you said, this particular judge is no nonsense. She's not going to fuck
Mm-mm.
around. She's not going to let him play the game. She's already pushed him to the limit. Uh, I'm at the point with this judge knowing what she's capable of and how fair the trial will be. I almost don't care about Florida anymore, because
I know, right?
we only need one or two convictions to take them down. So I'll take the
Yeah.
Washington, D.C. ones, and Florida can do
Yeah.
whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah. Oh, and Georgia's definitely going to get a conviction.
Yeah.
You know that. And if she gets him convicted on RICO charges, you know, it's pretty much over. Can't they squeeze some 14th Amendment stuff in there? With
I,
I thought Jan 6 had there was something somebody was talking about the 14th Amendment and the Jan 6 charges, that
yeah,
there's a possible connection.
I think there is some, certainly in the Georgia thing, that if he gets convicted, that it will involve the 14th Amendment, and that will preclude him from running for president or any public office. But he did something recently, and I keep hearing people telling me this is where the 14th Amendment would come in. I don't know if you'd heard, Donald Trump, when he gets scared, and he's clearly scared right now,
Oh yeah.
he ends up being like a monkey in the zoo, throwing his shit at the glass because he doesn't know what to do. He's just
I know
freaking
Michael
out.
calls him a Trump Plan Z.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he is. But he said something yesterday, the day before. He's coming after Fani Willis, even though Fani Willis
Oh, bad.
has yet to issue an indictment. He's anticipating that she will get an indictment from her, and he's right. But
Mhm.
he was saying all kinds of things. She's a bad district attorney. She's this. She's that. But
She's sleeping with a gang member that she was investigating, and oh, didn't she come back with something
yeah,
to him saying, you have till Thursday or Friday to come up with proof that I did that?
right. Well, he just pulled that out of his ass. He has no proof, no
Oh
evidence,
yeah.
nothing like that.
Oh yeah.
And I found it ironic that a guy would make that claim about that judge who has been proven to sexually assault women, who has been proven to have stolen classified documents and disseminated
Yeah.
those documents, been
Yeah.
proven that he is a tax cheat and so many things. that he's done that are criminal, and we'll find out more about them, that he has the audacity to make something up about Fonnie Willis. Now, Fonnie Willis is a woman, and I'm sure he thought, oh, she's a black
She's
woman.
a woman of color, Mike.
Right. She's a woman of
That makes
color.
it 10 times worse.
But I'm sure he thinks I can intimidate her. And like
Of
you say,
course.
what Fonnie Willis said, she didn't miss a beat. She said, okay, well, you prove that I slept with this gang member. You have till tomorrow, which was Thursday, and he didn't provide any evidence. You provide some evidence, or I'm putting that on my list too. And I'm going to use it when I go after you, because you're going after a prosecutor who is coming after you. And that's illegal. So we'll just put that on the list. And I said,
That's what happened.
yeah,
Okay.
nice job, Donnie. That's why I say, let
What
that
an
motherfucker
idiot.
talk. He will implicate himself every time. He makes it worse every time he opens his mouth.
Well, that's why Jack Smith has not put a gag order on him, because he knows
Right.
the more he talks, the more indictments he's going to get.
Well,
I mean, seriously.
Donald Trump wants to be the martyr. He wants to be the victim. That's what those people do. When I say those people, I'm talking about narcissists. They want to play the victim. And Jack Smith is way too smart to allow him to do that. A gag order, that does nothing but help Donald Trump. So he doesn't want to help Donald Trump. Keep that motherfucker talking. Did you hear, the judge Chutkin in Washington, D.C., at the arraignment, she told both the the Donald Trump side and the prosecution that you need to come up with dates when you think this trial should start. And each of you come up with something, send it to me by a certain date, and then August 28th, we'll decide when we're going to start it.
Yeah.
So yesterday, Jack Smith came up with a date, January 2nd, 2024. And I think that's legitimate. That's 7 months out, plenty of time to get discovery and figure it out.
That's way past the 70 days. So that should make them happy.
It should make them happy, but you know what's going to happen with Donald Trump's people. They're going to come back and say, how about never, or 10 years from now, or 15 years from now.
Because of all the discovery.
Right. And Judge Tanya Chutkin's not going to be having that. I don't know that she'll give them January 2nd, but it'll be closer to January 2nd than what the Trump-LaFuck lawyers want.
She might, though, because I think she wants to get this trial going too. I think just by the way she's behaved, it kind of gives me the sense that she wants this to come along. And I think, the stunt by Aileen Cannon, the stunt she just pulled today, that's going to get her recused. You know that, right?
Yeah, no, I think Jack's got her in his sights, and
big time.
And we'll talk about her in a minute. I just want to talk about Judge Chutkin again, because we got a big meeting today as we speak. As people are listening to this podcast, there is going to be a meeting on Friday. And what that meeting is about is the order of protection that Jack Smith wants. He wants to shut up Donald Trump from giving away evidence or whatever. And it's a realistic fear. So the judge said, we're meeting Friday. Donald Trump's team said, not good for us. How about Tuesday or Wednesday? Yeah. No, bitch, you're coming in Friday. So they're coming in Friday. Donald Trump doesn't have to be there, but they're going to discuss the order of protection. And I think she will getting an order of protection in a trial is pretty common. They're not asking for a lot. He's not asking for a gag order. But the interesting thing that I heard is last couple of speeches that Donald Trump gave, they're trying to take away my First Amendment rights. You know what? I don't care what they do. I'm going to keep talking.
Oh, now, and the other thing he's doing now, ever since his new attorney said, oh, you can't take away his free speech. You can't take away his free speech. And if he believed the election was stolen, it was just free speech. Yeah. So now if you watch his latest 2 interviews on Fox and Newsmax, Oh, yes, I believe the election was stolen. I still believe it to this day. Oh, yes, I believe it was stolen because see, his attorneys have put that in his head. Oh, yes, you believed it because now it was political speech. It was freedom of speech. You had every right to question the election if you felt that it was stolen. So now every other words out of his mouth is, yes, I believe the election was stolen.
But you know that's
I
a
don't know
few
if you noticed that.
that's a futile attempt, though. The facts and the evidence is there that he knew very well what was happening. He even said he knew what was happening. There's evidence of that. He's trying to backpedal here, and it's not going to work. No judge like
Right,
Jack Smith is going to allow that to happen.
right.
So today they're going to see what the order of protection is, what they're going to do. But I'm really interested to see when Donald Trump violates that order of protection, what Judge Chutkan is going to do. We know what Aileen Cannon is going to do. She isn't going to do jack shit.
Mhm,
But Judge Chutkan doesn't look like she's taking too much shit. They've already said, hey, can we have a couple days? She said, fuck you.
mhm.
No, come in when I tell you. So I have a
Yeah.
feeling he's going to test Judge Chutkan. I mean,
He's already said that he would.
yeah, I
He
know.
said,
And
let her try to tell me I can't talk. She can't take away my First Amendment right. That's what he's saying. He's already said, let her try.
well, I'm anxious for him to do it because I don't think he's going to
I
get the
know.
response. See, Donald Trump's like every other narcissist. He thinks he can bully everybody, and he'll keep bullying them till they give up and they
Yeah.
fold up and die. But this judge isn't going to. Jack Smith isn't
Mhm.
going to. But it's the only strategy Donald Trump knows, so he's going to keep doing
Yeah.
it until it kills him, and it
Yeah,
will
the big
kill him.
mafia, the mafia boss talk, and I'm such a bad guy, the threats and it's just so ridiculous. I mean, and you get these keyboard warriors who are now threatening civil war, and I guess on the dark web there's a lot of chatter going on. But like you say, they're cowards.
They're cowards.
They saw what happened on Jan 6. They are not going to let that happen to them.
We already saw what a civil war would look like. We
Yeah.
had we had a preview of the Civil War, and you know where that was? That was on the docks in Montgomery, Alabama. That was the Civil War, and the old white
Oh my
rednecks got
God.
their asses kicked.
That was hilarious.
It was.
I that was just oh, I had to watch it several times because it was just so funny.
You
Oh
know,
my goodness.
I heard some people of color on TikTok being amazed and um, proud of the fact that there were a lot of white people that were just as jacked up about that whole experience about these rednecks
Yeah.
getting their ass kicked, that white
Yeah.
people were just as excited about it. And I got to tell
Yeah.
you, I'm as excited about it as anybody. It
Oh,
has
me
nothing to
too.
do with color for me. It's just
No,
it's just a battle between right and wrong
exactly.
lost.
Yeah. 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 That was they got what they deserved.
Oh, they definitely got what they deserved. So that meeting is today. We'll see what the order of protection is, and then we'll see what Donald Trump does with it. We'll see if Donald Trump shows up at the debates too. He's been kind of iffy about it. He says, "Nah, I don't want to come. Then I do want to come." And my guess is he will come because he's got a serious problem with FOMO. You know,
Yeah.
he he
Yeah.
he likes to be the center of attention.
His ego.
He hates it when
Yeah.
somebody else is the center of attention.
Oh
And
yeah.
he hates not being able to strike back when people talk shit about him. And I guarantee you, people will be talking shit about him. So I'll be
Oh yeah.
surprised if he doesn't show up. And if he does show up, that'll be the one time I get there early, turn on Fox News, and watch the whole fucking thing. Because
Yeah.
it will be the Republicans' first shot of implosion and self-destruction. And that's the way it's
Oh,
going to
big
go
time.
between now and 2024. They're going to destroy
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah, they really are. And I don't like Chris Christie. I don't think he was a good governor. He might have been a good prosecutor. I don't know anything about his history there. He wasn't a good governor, I don't think. The whole Bridgegate thing and some other things that he was involved in. I don't see him as a good presidential candidate, but my goodness, he is on the Trump attack.
Well,
That
yeah,
is his focus.
well, that's the problem Donald Trump has with Chris Christie. He has absolutely nothing to lose. And
Mm-mm.
that's the worst guy to fight against when he has nothing
Yeah,
to lose. Chris Christie would
yeah.
be a horrible president.
Oh,
I don't know what he did as governor, but I know enough people from New Jersey who've come to me and said, "Ah, he fucked New Jersey over."
oh,
Nobody
he
in New
did
Jersey
big
liked him.
time.
Yeah, he's not a
No,
good guy.
no, he's not a good guy at all.
Well,
He was
fortunately,
supposedly a great prosecutor, but he totally blew it being governor. So,
yeah, I don't. You know, I don't think any Republican can beat Joe Biden right now. I don't care who it is. Nobody can beat Joe Biden.
no, I don't. I think you're right. But he has been way too soft on the GOP. That honestly, that's what I believe. They're not fighting back. He's not fighting back. I mean, he lets them walk all over him, and I know that there's this sense where being quiet, being taking the high road kind of thing, you know. But after posting and putting his son's pictures in Congress of him naked,
Yeah,
and they did nothing.
yeah, yeah. Well,
I,
Lisa, I'm not a high road guy. I'd rather take the low
I'm not
road with
either.
everybody fucking else. I don't care. But
No, I'm not either.
I think what you're talking about with Joe Biden is something I've complained about too, and I'm going to have you bring something up you brought up before. It's not something I really thought about, but it's a good point. I think Joe Biden's too old school. I think he's an old
Yeah.
style politician. And
Yes.
as I said, we're in a whole different world now. We're in a
Yeah.
different place. It's like when they say, well, we can't prosecute a president or a presidential candidate. And that may have been the case a long time ago. But
Because they were beyond reproach a long time ago.
right. And now we're just in a different world. So if you're president of the United
Totally.
States, you got to wake up to being in that different world. And I think Joe Biden's
Totally.
just too old to do that. I think he's
I
done a
agree.
fine job. I think he's done a
Yes.
fine job. But
Yes.
if you want to put the Republicans down for good, you have to be tough. And I don't think
And
he is.
he just no, he just doesn't have it. It's not in his personality to be a fighter. He's a
Right.
very passive kind of personality, very soft spoken. He is not a dark brand and go,
No,
fighter.
no.
He is just not that personality.
But then people will come to me and say, well, what about Gavin Newsom? Maybe he can run in 2024.
I sent that question to you, and here's my problem with that. I have family that live in California and friends,
Yeah.
but half of them hate his guts. They can't stand what he's done to California,
Yeah.
and the other half of them love him and wish he would run for president. So I don't know because I don't live in California, but just watching his record, um, I agree with probably 85% of what he's done.
Well, the important thing to understand is whether he's good or not, whether any other candidate, there are a ton of other candidates that could run for president. Hakeem Jeffries, Jamie Raskin,
Yeah.
Katie
Yeah. Jamie
Porter.
Raskin would make a great president.
Yeah, there's a lot of them that could, but nobody is going to run for president against Joe Biden.
No,
It's just not
no,
done. Parties
no.
don't have an incumbent and then run somebody against him. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like everybody else. I worry about Joe Biden being 82 when he is in the
Yeah.
2024 election. Anything could happen to somebody who's 82, 83, 85. You know, they can be incapacitated or even die, and it's not surprising because they're uh, old in the first place. It's a much more
Right.
fragile situation.
I got news to you. I've had 3 strokes because of COVID and the COVID vaccine. So, and I'm only 62. So, can you imagine? I mean, I
No,
was perfectly healthy before that. So, you never know.
no, you don't. You don't. That's why I think the one thing they need to do is to prop up and promote Kamala Harris, because she hasn't really had much of the spotlight. She needs more of it coming up to the
No.
election because I think people are worried about, well, if Joe goes down, then we got Kamala. And honestly, I'm cool with Kamala. I think she'd be fine.
Well, she wasn't very well liked in California. I gotta tell you.
Yeah.
She
Well,
when she worked in San Francisco and Oakland, she wasn't very well liked there. So I
really.
kind of question, yeah, she wasn't well liked at all. And so I kind of questioned why he picked her, honestly. And she's not very active as a vice president. I bet neither was Mike Pence, so
Yeah, I don't
I
know
don't
if
know.
that's a Kamala thing or a Biden thing, you know.
Oh, that could
Um,
be.
and
Yeah.
it didn't make sense to pick Kamala geographically because she was from California, and California is so
Hmm.
solidly blue, you're not really gaining much there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she was outspoken. She was a woman, and she
Hmm.
was a woman of color. So I think
Yeah.
felt that
That
had
she
something
had
to
all
do with
those
it.
points going for her. Yeah.
Right. Right. But I think Kamala is going to play a factor in this because people will be unsure if Joe Biden can run the entire 4 years, whether he'll be capable or whether he will survive. And you know, I don't want to speak negatively, but that's a legitimate concern given his
It
age.
is. It is. I mean, at 80, he's 80 now, right? Correct.
80,
Is he
81.
80?
He'll be 82 in 24.
Oh, okay. So he'll be 82. So 4 years, that's 86.
Right.
Mm, you
That's asking
know,
a lot.
yeah. I mean, he seems to be with it mentally.
I think he's
He
fine
seems,
right now. Yeah.
yeah, I do. But you don't know what the cards have in store,
You
kind of
don't.
thing.
Like you say,
And
you have a stroke and you're 84 years old or 83 years old. God knows what it can
yeah,
do. I mean, keep in
right.
mind, Mitch McConnell's only 81. So
Oh, he's a mess.
yeah,
He's going to retire, I heard.
he should. He should.
I heard he's going to retire.
And the only thing worse than that is Dianne Feinstein.
No, I know.
That
She needs
woman
to go too.
is barely alive. I mean,
I know.
she went back in the hospital because she fell just a couple days
Oh,
ago.
no, 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 no.
Yeah.
Oh, bless her heart. No, she needs to retire. Good grief. I mean, enough's enough already. But I just worry because that's a Democratic seat that we may lose. So I don't see that happening,
No. No.
but it's always a possibility. I mean, the Republicans are doing so bad that even Ted Cruz could lose his seat. Yeah, you heard about what's going on in Texas, right?
Well, I've heard
His
some of it.
this
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this guy has out campaigned him, earned double, triple the amount of money, is doing very, very well in Texas right now. And, being that red state, and that's Ted Cruz post, basically,
Right.
it's coming as a surprise to him.
Right.
He's kind of hinted to that, like, oh, I might lose my seat, you know. So, I mean, this guy is pulling ahead of him.
Well,
So
I think people tell you what they want you to hear in terms of polling and how the Republicans are doing, but what I don't think they take into account is all the things working against Republicans. Now we've got all these investigations, and we've got indictments, and maybe members of Congress will get indictments. Maybe Ted Cruz will get an indictment.
oh yeah,
But
for sure.
you've got all that coming out, and then you throw into the mix overturning Roe v. Wade, pissing off 70% of the people.
Right.
And you've got gun control, and you've got LGBTQ, and you've got schools.
Mhm.
The Republicans are doing nothing to get support in the general election, and that's why
Right.
that's why I think there's going to be a blue wave, because they're doing everything to lose. And
Right. Well, look what just happened in Ohio.
right, exactly.
I mean, all the polls said that they were going to win. The Republicans were going to win. This was going to go through. The Republicans were, this was going to be this big win. Oh my gosh, it failed miserably.
Yeah. I heard a recent poll. I heard
What
it
the
on
heck?
MSNBC or something like this. If you listen to left wing television, they will tell you that, oh my God, Joe Biden, he might most of the people don't want him to run. They don't want this.
You're right.
But there's another poll that says that 85% of the people in the Democratic Party like what Joe Biden's doing. They never talk about that.
Exactly. I've seen that. Yeah.
And that is more than Donald Trump has in the Republican Party. And,
Ever.
and that is more than Obama had in the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
So they tell you what's going to make you nervous, what's going to make you scared. But I think Joe Biden, for whatever flaws he has, he's the only logical choice to run in 2024. And I think he wins walking away. He won by 7 million votes in 2020. He's gained momentum. Donald Trump has lost momentum. The Republican. I think Joe Biden might win by 10 or 12 or 13 million votes in 2024.
What I'm so afraid of happening, just like what happened in 2016. I mean, a lot of people didn't vote. They thought, oh, Trump can't win. Trump can't win. This is, Hillary's going to be president. They didn't participate, or they just voted for Trump because they didn't think there was going to be much of a choice. And then, where was I going with this? Oh, I hate it when I do that.
I do it all.
Left without me.
I do it all the time. I've just done it so often. I'm a little smoother at getting around it. But
Sorry.
No. That's fine. This is just a conversation. This isn't anything more than that. That's the way we want to keep it. But the Republicans, now you confuse me. God damn it! I was so worried about you. Now I don't know what the fuck I was saying. But I think when you watch the media and you listen to Republicans and some Democrats, they want you to believe, oh, this is going to be a battle of the Titans. This is going to be close. People always want to go to the dramatic. I don't think that's going to be that case at all. I think not only is Joe Biden going to win easily, I think we're going to get back the power in the House and the majority in the Senate, and then we'll finally be able to get some things done.
Yeah, I agree. I think honestly, with everything that's gone on with this GOP, I think we're definitely going to get the House back. And we'll keep the Senate. I honestly believe that, because I know what I was going to say. It became kind of a clown show, the 2016 election, because they didn't think Trump had a chance to win. What I'm afraid that's going to happen is he's going to get indicted, end up in jail, and all these people are going to think it's really cute to vote him in as president while he's in prison.
Yeah, but even the people that are serious about it, there isn't enough of them, as much as
I hope not.
There's 30% that really support Donald Trump. And that's just not enough to do anything. And all that does is divide the Republican Party, which is a more positive thing for the Democrats. So Donald Trump is not going to be a positive factor in the 2024 election. No way. In fact, I've told people who are afraid that Donald Trump will be the candidate, keep your fingers crossed, hope he's the candidate, because he's the one guy that Joe Biden will kick his ass easily.
Yeah, I agree. He doesn't stand a chance to fight, and he's digging himself. And he's just in this last week with all these crazy posts.
Yeah.
Even some GOPers are starting to question his sanity.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. And that's the way it's going to go. I tell you what, we're going to take a quick break. We'll you and I can, we're in our 60s now. We can run to the bathroom.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Get some more water, rejuvenate ourselves. I'm a little concerned toward the end here, this first half, that people are going to start referring to us as Mitch and Diane of podcasts. But anyway,
okay.
We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Okay.
We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast talking about shit. And to help me out today, I have a listener by the name of Lisa, who's from the great northwestern part of the country. And Lisa, you mentioned you and I are of similar age. You're a year younger than I am. And when I think about Mitch and Diane, it brings me back to the early 80s.
Yeah.
I remember when we were young and cool and had a future. Oh, I love those days. Anyway, back in those days, there was he's still around, a singer, John Mellencamp.
Yeah.
And he had a big song named Jack and Diane.
Jack and I, and yep.
Now, around that time, that was when Chuck and Diana got married, and I thought they should have done a parody on a little ditty about Chuck and Diane, two British kids.
Yeah.
Now that we're all those years away, I get that inspiration again. It could be something like a little ditty about Mitch and Diane. Both are constantly saying, "I don't know who I am." So, so if we got
That's a good one.
so if we've
Yeah,
got some
I love it.
musical, if we got some musical people out there, start working on that shit because I'm not
Yeah,
musically
somebody
inclined.
do it.
I-
That's a good one.
But this, I we talked about this paradigm shift and how the vibe is changing and it's going more the way of
Mhm.
the Democrats. I really feel
Yeah.
that in the next month or two at most, this is when the big change, the big shift is going to turn. We've got Fonnie Willis coming out. We've got
I
Jack
agree.
Smith coming out with more and more shit. Letitia James, she's got her $250 million
Yeah,
lawsuit coming out
October. Yeah.
October 2nd.
Yep.
Somebody ran down a list of all the places that Donald Trump has to be and how it coincides with the
I saw that.
primaries and all that shit. He's going to be busier than a motherfucker.
I don't know how he can be in two places at once, but we'll see.
Well, it's funny.
We'll see.
They're making complaints now. Well, we couldn't possibly do this because we've got to do that. And this, I think it was a GOP lawyer said, look, that's not anybody's problem but yours. If you don't like being so busy, maybe you shouldn't have committed so many crimes in so many different places. And
Right.
he doesn't get any accommodation just because it's inconvenience to him.
No, and supposedly he's a billionaire. And like Jack Smith and one judge pointed out, he could hire people to go through this discovery. Hire some people. You don't have to do it all yourself, attorneys. He's a billionaire. He can afford it. His PAC is running out of money, but he's a billionaire, right?
Yeah, you would think that would be
According
okay.
according to Alina Haba, he's a self-made billionaire and he can take care of himself.
But you remember when those tax records were released?
Yeah.
The only billions we saw in those tax records were losses, not gains.
Right. But and you can't believe that for 1 minute.
No, he's not a billionaire. And like you were talking about, one of the PACs is almost broke. And it's not just Donald Trump, it's Republican associations all around the country. Somebody sent me a note.
Running out of money.
They're running out of money. I mean, who wants to give a loser money?
Right.
Everybody's seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and they see the Republican Party is a losing bet. The billionaires and such are going, yeah, I'm not throwing good money after bad money, and that's what it is.
Yeah, and that's why the Republicans are fighting so hard in these individual red states to get the laws changed to help them when it comes to the 2024 election. And they're losing left and right. Ohio, Kansas, Michigan. I mean, so wasn't it South Carolina as well that they had some issue? Yeah. I mean,
Missouri.
They're losing left. Yeah, Missouri. They're very busy trying to change the voting laws in each individual state, and thankfully they're being shut down. I that concerns me a lot because the efforts keep escalating.
Well, Republicans always try to game the situation to their advantage, and they're not having very much luck. You mentioned Ohio. Ohio knows that they've got an legalizing abortion vote coming up in November.
Yeah,
they're not
several
feeling
states.
They're not feeling too confident about it either. So instead, they wanted to have this other election in August that made it so that, well, you can't change the amendment unless you get a 60% positive vote instead of
Yes,
a
and the
simple
reason
majority.
they did it in August in Ohio is because most of the people are on vacation. Most of the serious voters, they said that most of the reason they planned it in August was because most of the serious voters are out of the state. They're on vacation. So that's why they chose to do it in August, so they would have a less of a voter turnout.
Right. And you would think you would think that Republicans would take a hint. You know, they're really embracing this uh, abolishing abortion and overturning Roe v. Wade. They're just embracing it. But state after red state is saying, no, that's not what we want. They don't seem to care
Right.
that the vast majority of people want to continue with Roe v. Wade. They instead
Yeah.
decide, you know what? We're just going to try to game the system and shove this down your throat. And unfortunately, that's not going to work. I've been married for
Yeah.
almost 40 years. It's funny when they overturned Roe v. Wade prior to the 2022 election, some Republicans said, well, you know, women will just get used to it and they'll forget about it and they'll be on
Yeah.
this.
No.
You ain't been married if you think that's fucking true. Because I'll tell you what, Lisa, if I'm in an argument with my wife today and I'm winning that fight, I'll guarantee you this, and she knows I'm winning the fight, I don't just get to win the fight.
No.
I, she goes back to the 80s and works her way up with every sin I've ever fucking committed.
Of course.
She's going to pound
That's
me
what
into
we do.
submission. That's what you do. And
Yeah.
if you think they're going to come out of this well with the Roe v. Wade situation,
Yeah.
they
No.
didn't forget in 2022, and guess what? They're not going to forget in 2024.
No. First of all, there's more Democrats than there are Republicans. Okay.
Definitely.
We are losing, they said we are losing 7 million boomers a year. And we're gaining 7 million Gen Xers and, you know, the up and coming. So for the 2024 election, the estimation is that we will have, the Democrats will have a hell of a lot more up and coming voters than the Republicans will have lost 7 million voters.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I mean, we're losing, the Republicans are losing and the Democrats are gaining.
I've talked
So,
I've talked about that number you brought up, 7,000 boomers a day dying. Now,
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
granted, you and I are on the young end of the boomers because
Yeah.
it's 46 to 64, and we were born in
Yeah.
60 and
We're,
61.
yeah.
But I'm starting to feel a little heat on my neck now, though.
I hear ya. I
7,000 boomers.
barely made it through COVID. I mean, I got the COVID vaccine. I don't want to do my story, but I'll just do a quick thing.
Sure.
I got Moderna and it destroyed my heart. I ended up having 3 strokes. I was going down a flight of steps, had a stroke and fell down the steps and broke my back in several places. And now I'm permanently disabled, all because of the COVID vaccine.
Really? Now, people are going to get on your shit because they're going to say,
I
oh, she's
know.
an anti-vaxxer. Now,
Oh, no, I'm not. No, not an anti-vaxxer. This is just Moderna was not a good vaccine, folks. I mean, it's been taken off the market. It was just my bad luck. I believe in vaccines. It was just my bad luck.
yeah, it was because
You know,
I'll tell you what, I took 5 shots and
yeah.
they were all Moderna. And
Oh, you did.
I can run faster, jump higher, and not really, but no, I'm fine from it. It never really
Good.
gave me any problem. You know, that's one of the issues with vaccines. People can get bad effects from vaccines, but
That's
they can
right.
also die from COVID too. So it's a
That's
tough
right.
choice to make.
Right. And I did get COVID 3 times, and 2 of the times I was in ICU. So had I not had those vaccines and boosters, I would have died.
Really,
Yeah.
really.
So I'm very lucky I got the vaccine, even though what it did to me, it still saved my life from COVID.
So COVID was I mean, COVID was a dramatic experience for everybody by virtue of them having to
Yeah.
be locked down and stuff, but it was extra difficult for you and
Yeah.
continues
Yeah.
to
It
be.
was bad. Yeah. I was a nurse and a very active camper, guns, just a very busy person. And now I'm down to nothing. So,
Tell me what long COVID is. I mean, when you say long, how long is long?
like, I never got, they said anywhere, they're guessing because they don't know, anywhere from 2 to 5 years. I get chronic hives. I get them all over my body. They get in my mouth, my ear, my lips, my eyebrows, all over my body. I get hives. I get chronic hives. I still can't smell anything.
Really?
Yeah, I still can't smell. Sometimes if it's a really strong smell, if it's a bad smell, I can smell bad smells. I just can't smell good things.
Oh, I
Like
was
my
go-
coffee. You know how you smell your coffee brewing in the morning or
right.
your toast cooking? I can't smell any of that.
Well, if you can't, I was going to say, if you can't smell bad things, this would be a good time to adopt some teenage boys because those
Yeah,
motherfuckers smell horrible. I've had two boys,
I
and
know.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they are stinky. I had two brothers. Yeah, they
Yeah.
are definitely stinky kids. Thankfully I had daughters, so I didn't have to deal with that. Anyway, enough about me. Let's get back to what Aileen Cannon did.
Oh, Alien Cannon. Yeah, she's I don't, she
What was up with that order?
well, she's basically saying that some evidence shouldn't be included because it came from a grand jury outside the jurisdiction. And it
Right.
was in Washington, D.C. Well, some of the crimes happened in D.C. and happened in Florida. And if you remember,
Yeah.
when it first came out, we were all very surprised that it came out of Florida instead of D.C.
Right. Right.
Uh,
That's exactly right. Yeah.
but the fact of the matter is that there is no such rule that you can't bring in evidence from another grand jury because this is a
No,
smaller
I've
grand
never
jury.
heard of that.
But the question is, why hasn't Aileen Cannon heard of that? She's a federal judge.
Yes, but here's the thing. There's other things that have gone on in her courtroom recently. Failing to swear in the jury.
Yeah,
Come on,
she's
somebody get her a judge book for judging for dummies.
yeah, yeah,
Come on. Come on. That's a basic law that that should be in your first law class.
yeah,
It's swearing in the jury.
yeah.
Come on.
I think she is woefully inexperienced and she's
Oh, yeah, big
incompetent.
time.
She's
Big
not going
time.
to admit she's incompetent. But I'll tell you this: all these things that are going on, if it's making you nervous, trust Jack Smith is recognizing
Yeah.
this, and
Yeah.
it's going to be the ultimate thing that takes her down. I
I
mean,
think the 11th appellate is going to hear about this. I
well,
do.
we're talking about one of the biggest criminal trials in the history of this country.
And
One of
she
the
has
biggest,
no experience.
right? And I think the 11th Circuit's going to go. We don't want to be fucking embarrassed by this, so come on, let's
Right.
take her out. Let's take her out.
Yeah.
They should. They should.
I
But
certainly hope so.
this
This
is
was a terrible order. I mean, the whole idea of the secret grand jury, Mike, is that it's secret.
right, and she,
Hello.
yeah,
And she just blew that for them.
yeah, she made some very bad mistakes.
Horrible choice.
My question, what I'm wondering is that we know about her because she's right in the middle of the news, but Donald Trump appointed a lot of federal judges. My
Hmm.
question is, how many are just as bad as she is? And how
Yeah,
bad
that's
is our
the
judicial
scary.
system because of it?
That's right. That is exactly right. And look at our Supreme Court. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a fine example. I mean, oh my God, he has destroyed our the Supreme Court.
Yeah, and the
I
Supreme Court's absolutely necessary to make our three branches of government work properly. And we don't have
yep,
a Supreme Court that's working properly now. Yeah,
no,
he completely destroyed it.
yeah, he did. Appointing those three judges, oh my God. I mean, this is the other thing that irritates me about Biden. I totally forgot. I'm with you. Why don't we expand the Supreme Court? Why? What is wrong with you, Joe? Why is that a problem? I mean, he is an old-fashioned guy, and that's why he's not doing it. But he's not helping us any here.
Now, well, there's nothing he can do about it right now. I have a feeling if the House is run by the Democrats, the Senate is run by the Democrats, and Joe's in office, I think that you're going to see Congress push Joe to do things that may be outside his realm. I mean, in the first 2 years, we saw him do a lot of things that he might not have done, but he's been pushed by
Yeah,
Congress. So Joe doesn't like the idea of expanding the court. For the life of me, I
no,
don't know why. He
I
doesn't want to
don't
get
get
rid of
it.
the filibuster, which makes no goddamn sense. And those are the problems
No.
I have with Joe Biden. But I think
Yeah, me
if they
too.
get the power, Congress will force him to do it.
I hope you're right because we need to expand the court to get some kind of sanity. Either that or we need to get these three jerks out of there. I mean, impeach them. I mean, they need to go. Clarence Thomas, Alioto, they'll Roberts, they need to retire. They need to go. Um, they One of those two things has to happen. We either expand the court or these guys get taken down.
Well, yeah, that's a tall order, though. The idea of impeaching one Supreme Court justice is almost
I know.
insurmountable. To do three
Yeah.
would be hard to believe. So expanding the court is really the only
It
option.
right.
You got to remember these guys have been able to run roughshod in their jobs. They are working under the honor system, or they can police themselves, and clearly they're not doing that. I don't know. Did you hear this story?
Right.
Did you hear this news story about Clarence Thomas?
No.
Clarence Thomas, we know, has a billionaire BFF boyfriend, a little
Right.
sugar daddy, and he's
Yeah.
taken him on trips and done a lot
Right.
of things for him.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
ProPublica came out with a new story, and it's far worse with just Clarence Thomas. Just listen to this.
Okay.
He doesn't have just one billionaire boyfriend. He's got four. There's oil baron Tony Novelli, Tony Novelli. There's David Sokol, who was a former Berkshire Hathaway executive. That's Warren Buffett's
Oh, yeah, yeah,
organization.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
H. Wayne Huizenga. He owned the Miami Dolphins, and he was very wealthy. He passed away. But
Right.
listen to the gifts he's gotten over the past 20 years that ProPublica has pulled out. He's gotten at least 38 destination vacations, including a previously unreported voyage on a yacht around the Bahamas, 26 private jet flights, and 8 helicopter flights, a dozen VIP passes to professional and college sporting events, typically up in the skybox, 2 stays at luxury
Oh,
resorts in Florida and Jamaica, and a standing invitation to an Uber exclusive golf club overlooking the Atlantic coast. And you know what the thing about it is the most important part of this? None of that, nothing was ever reported. He just did it,
now,
and he
okay,
didn't
here's the
report it.
question though, Mike. Did any of those people have any business before the court during any of those times?
Well, I think they're still investigating that. I think some have and some haven't, but you never know how indirectly it's going to affect things. I mean, like somebody like oil baron Tony Novelli. Now
Mhm.
maybe he doesn't have anything in front of the Supreme Court, but maybe the oil
Yes,
industry does.
that's right.
So it's an
That's right.
indirect connection. I don't, they haven't dug that deep to know what's specific, but the important
Well,
thing is,
they did figure out that Harlan did have business in front of the court
right,
while he was courting Clarence and Jenny on their yacht.
right.
Yeah, he did have business before the court.
Well, the important thing to remember is that whether they had business against in front of the court or not really doesn't matter. The point is he's taking these gifts and not
Yeah, and not
reporting them,
reporting.
and that's
Yeah.
where the law is broken. So
Yeah.
you know, and none of these people he knew before he was a Supreme Court justice.
See, that's what kills me. Lauren Boebert was about bankrupt. Now she's a multimillionaire in Congress making 170,000 a year. Can
Right.
you please explain that to me?
Yeah, there's some shady stuff, and I think that that's something we have to remember. The Republicans have been exposed for their shady dealings and their grifting, and they're making money
Mm-hmm.
on the through the back door. But this has been something that's been going on for years, and it's not just
Yeah.
Republicans, it's Democrats too, because we have some rich Democratic representatives and
Oh, yeah.
senators
Oh,
too.
yeah. And that is the one thing that I have to say about Joe Biden. Joe Biden has not gotten rich off politics.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't.
Not like some of these people.
Well, I mean, if you talk to the Republicans, he's crazy wealthy and
Oh,
got all
yeah.
the money from the
Yeah.
Ukrainians, and
Ukraine and China and yeah, yeah.
Only problem
Yeah,
with that is they have not been able to show a shred of evidence as of yet.
no,
So it's a problem.
no.
But there are a lot of people getting rid. I mean, you want to talk about Democrats? Nancy Pelosi's made a lot of fucking money. I mean, she did a good
Oh
job as
yeah,
speaker, but she
yeah,
made a lot of money. The
yep,
I think what's happened here is going to help in a couple of ways. The Republicans are exposed and they're going to go down, but I think it awakened the the constituent giant. I mean, for a long time, all of us were pretty complacent and didn't really pay attention to what's going in
yeah.
politics.
That's true. That's
And
true.
and now people are ultra focused on politics.
Yeah.
People say to me, what happens when Donald Trump goes away and the Republicans go down? You won't have anything to talk about. Oh no,
Oh yes, we will.
I'll be talking shit about the Democrats if they don't do what they're
Yeah,
supposed to do, because I'm not in
exactly.
anybody's team. I'm on Mike's team.
No.
I'm on the
Yeah.
people's team, not on Democrats or Republicans. The bottom
Yeah.
line is
That's me.
we need to get what we deserve, and it's been a long time, and neither side has really treated us with the respect
Yep.
and done their job in serving us. That's the key. They are
That's
there to
exactly
serve
right.
us.
And that's kind of why I feel like I'm kind of, some days I feel like a fish kind of flailing out of water because I don't know where my alliance is going to be. I would never vote Republican. Never a day in my life would I vote Republican. But I don't know about the Democratic issues. There's some issues that I don't want to vote Democrat. So I'm just kind of flailing some days to trying to figure out where my alliance is going to be. So because I want to vote Democrat, but there's things about them I'm not happy about.
No, absolutely, absolutely. You know, people ask me when I first started doing this and doing the Rational Boomer thing on TikTok and such, why are you doing that? What do you hope to accomplish? And my goal is really to accomplish as much as I possibly can. It may not be a
Yeah,
lot, but if I can get a narrative out there of the truth and
absolutely.
and try to counteract the lies and shit we have, and then
Yeah,
if I can say something and then you hear something that resonates and you tell somebody and they tell somebody,
right.
maybe over time we can change the narrative and the perspective of this country, which will give us the power back as voters.
Absolutely. And technology has actually given us that advantage, where I get my information instantaneously, practically,
Right.
from you, Midas Touch. I mean, I get alerts on my phone constantly as the information comes through. So people are more, due to technology, more able to get information, more able to research, more able to become informed. It's there for us to be able to learn if you want. It's there if you want to learn,
Well,
you know.
and that's where TikTok has been very valuable. You know, everybody
Yeah,
thinks that it's a kids app. It's not really a
no,
kids app. It's a lot of older people like us, a lot of
yep,
Gen Xers or Gen Zs and
yeah,
millennials. But the thing is with this country, we've gotten kind of lazy. You know, we used to watch Walter Cronkite. We'd watch the boring news, but we got the information we needed. People don't want that anymore. They want the scandal. They want the tabloid news and stuff. So if you want to give them facts, you have to do two things. You have to make it entertaining and you have to make it quick. So that's what
all right,
TikTok has allowed us to do. So, you know, when
right.
I started doing TikTok, I know I had to be entertaining and I didn't know how that was even possible. So
Oh God, you're hilarious.
I thought I'd make myself a novelty. So you got this old white guy, Trump humping looking guy, swearing and
Yeah.
talking liberal. People are going, "What the fuck is that?" And then you do it in 2 or 3 minutes, and people will listen. I mean,
Right,
the first thing you got to do is get people to listen, and then tell them what they need to know. You got to
right,
kind of
yeah,
spoon feed it if you want to have an impact.
right, right, exactly. I mean, and you have the personality to do it. It's obvious you've been doing this for a while because you
Yeah.
make it so easy and it just flows. I mean, like, you're a natural, and your sense of humor is something else. It's just like mine. And I say fuck more than the average person. So it just cracks me up when you say it and people get mad at you and I just laugh.
You know, it's funny is very few people get mad at me about swearing. like one guy on Facebook says, I like what you're saying, but I'm tired of you swearing. It's disgusting. It shows you're not very intelligent. And I could see he was kind of a Trump humper. And so I responded to him simply by saying, yeah, fuck you.
Yeah, and you know what? Absolutely, that is not true. Some university did a big study that people who say fuck are actually very intelligent.
And as much as I say
So
it, I'm clearly a fucking genius.
I know, me too. I know I am too. I love that's my favorite word. It just like relieves stress, I swear.
Well, it's just a
It does.
word.
Yeah, it's just a word. I remember when I was a kid, it was just such a bad word. I mean, nobody in my family cussed, so the F word was just unheard of. You just didn't say that. And now it's like every other word out of my mouth. So it's a totally different time now.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about, we know in 2024, there's going to be a lot more millennials and Gen Zs, that in
Yeah.
2028, the majority of the voting bloc will be millennials
Yes,
and Gen Zs. Do you look forward to that, or you're afraid of that?
I do. I do. Well, half of me, it, some of the kids that I see now, my kids are 36 and 26. I have two daughters, and I watch them to kind of see, and their friends to see what their political standings are and just how they're acting, and they're very, very responsible, very, um, they educate themselves, I'm finding, and I'm hoping that that's a positive thing and that keeps going in the right direction. Um, but some of the high school kids I see, these kids can't think their way out of a paper bag, and it's kind of scary.
But could we? I mean,
Yeah,
when I was 18, 19 years old, all I was worried about was
yeah,
getting
that's a
enough
good
money for
point.
beer. That's all I cared
Yeah,
about. I didn't know who the fuck was
yeah,
running for
good
president.
point.
I,
Good
I
point.
I have a son that's 30, going to be 36, and another son that's going to be 30. And they're smart guys, fortunately.
Good. Yeah, my girls are smart.
they had the great fortune of having a mom who's a teacher. And
Ah, nice.
I'm a little more easygoing. I was the guy that let them do whatever, and mom was more the one cracking the whip. But
Yeah, that was it. Mom was the whip cracker in our house too.
what's funny about them is when I first started doing the TikToks and the podcast, they go, "Oh Jesus, Dad, you're so fucking embarrassing." And 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 so now that I've got a fair amount of followers, and I've got the podcast and all this stuff, they're going, "Yeah, okay, he's got to do it." I'm not going to make fun of him for going off and doing a TikTok or doing the podcast. But you would think that they might listen. I talked to a lot of people their age, and they go, "God damn, thank you for that." These motherfuckers don't give a
Yeah.
shit what I say. They don't want to hear it. They just
No.
do not want to hear it.
Well, luckily, one of my daughters is not into politics, but the other one is, and we get into some good conversations. I mean, she's very intelligent. She's very, she keeps herself informed and up to date with what's going on, so we can have really good conversations about, especially Roe v. Wade, and in her and my oldest daughter and their decision not to have children. What if there's an accident? What if something happens? They're not going to have an option.
Yeah,
And she's not happy about that.
that's got to be a different experience. I have two sons. One is married and one is not. The abortion thing doesn't really ring true with them. They
N-
don't really think about it. It's got to be different when you have two daughters.
yeah, it is. It's very different because as careful as you can be, accidents do happen. And some things are just not controllable. And her concern is, what would I do if that situation came up?
Yeah.
Fortunately for us, our area in both states, abortion is still legal. So, but my kids don't live here.
Right.
One lives in California, which is definitely an abortion state, but
Right.
the other's in New York.
Well, New York's pretty liberal too, though, isn't it? Depending
Are
on where you
they?
live.
I thought they took away abortion. I thought New York did.
I
I'm
don't
not
think
sure.
I don't
Somebody correct me.
I don't think New York did. I think you're safe in New York because it's a pretty liberal state. There are
Okay.
places, they're the um, there are some Republicans coming out of there.
Oh yeah.
Our good old Georgie boys from New York. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, no, I think
Funny how he's fallen off into the woodwork. You don't hear
well,
anything about him.
well, he's got a number of charges against him, and he's going to be going to court sometime soon, and he's going to be done because he committed those crimes. And
Oh yeah.
I don't, I think they just want to try to see if they can keep him in there until 24 so they can bring some other candidate and put in another Republican, but they may have trouble with that. Maybe the people in that district are a little tired of Republicans.
Yeah, I think you're right. Absolutely. I think so because I know Kevin McCarthy flat out said that's why they're not kicking him out because they can't afford to lose the vote. Now,
Right.
what kind of excuse is that? The guy is a complete criminal. You
Yeah.
have to get rid of him.
Well,
But no.
the interesting test is going to be though, it's one thing about George, but what happens if we get 5, 6, maybe 10 sitting members of Congress, whether they be senators or House members? What if they get indicted? And I think they are, because remember,
I'm sure of it.
Jack Smith hired 2 lawyers. It was back about 3, 4 months ago to
Yeah,
specifically look into members of Congress.
absolutely.
So that's going to be coming in a superseding indictment with the J6 thing. We've got a lot more coming in that
Oh
situation.
yeah. I know. And people were, in fact, I was one of them. When I first saw the Jan 6 indictments and there was only 4 charges, I just went, you have got to be kidding me. What about wire fraud? What about this? What about Congress? What about
Yeah.
all these people that were involved in all this stuff? Mitch McConnell, I mean, Lindsey Graham, Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley. I mean, they all need to be charged. So I was thinking, and then I realized, okay, he only wants to indict him on these certain charges. He's going to go after the rest of these people later.
Right. He wanted to make the charge against Donald Trump fairly simple so we can go to court quickly. I,
Right.
I
So
mean,
we can get it done before the election.
the big concern is to shut him down before the election.
Right.
All the other people he's not as worried about.
Right.
That's one thing you gotta think about is that with Georgia and further indictments with January 6th, we are going to have trials, big fucking trials, well
Oh
past
yeah.
2024.
Oh yeah.
Maybe not Donald Trump, but Lindsey Graham and all these fucks that will
Right.
delay.
Because there's no way they can get all these trials done by the election. There is just no way. There's too many people to indict. There's Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert. I mean, yeah, it goes on and on and on. Um, that excuse me, I'm sorry, that were involved with January 6th. I mean, just in the phone call, how many people were involved in that phone call to
Yeah,
Georgia?
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, how many people were involved in that?
And you know that yesterday, because this show plays on Friday. Yesterday, they had a second arraignment for Donald Trump for those
Uh-huh.
superseding Donald Trump,
Yeah,
Walt
yeah.
Nata, and De Oliveira.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
Donnie didn't show up. He was busy. He was golfing or something.
Mm-hmm.
Walt Nata
Mm-hmm.
did show up. He was arraigned, but De Oliveira, like Walt Nata initially and like Donald Trump initially, did not get arraigned yesterday because he didn't have a local attorney. It's funny how they all go through that set just to try to delay it a little bit more. I don't know why
Oh
they
yeah,
want to do
I'm
it.
sure they're getting that advice from Trump's attorneys. So while the one guy can't, Stan Woodward, guy Walt Mata can't use him as his attorney because he also represents other witnesses who might want to testify against Walt Mata and Donald Trump. So Stan Woodward cannot represent Walt Mata anymore.
Well,
And Jack Smith filed that motion.
right, he filed a motion because there's some funny shit of everybody using the same attorney. That probably isn't
Right.
going to work. But then again, he's got to file that motion to Aileen Cannon, so we'll see what she does. But whatever she does, however she fucks it up, we'll just make it that much quicker that she gets her ass kicked out.
Exactly. Exactly. I think after this latest order, I think Jack's done playing the game with her. I think he gave her enough rope to hang herself. And I
Yeah.
think she's done it with this latest order.
Yeah. It would be nice if we got a legitimate trial in Florida. And I don't think that's
Yeah.
possible with Aileen Kennett. You know, initially
Uh-uh.
I thought, okay, she got spanked on that first one. She's got to be smart enough to
Right.
straighten up and fly right. And
Right.
I don't know that she's not willing to straighten up and fly right. I just think she knows what the fuck she's doing.
No, I honestly think ignorance and lack of experience
Yeah.
is a huge problem with her. But, and I also think she's trying to be sneaky. I think she's trying to keep her loyalty to Trump and sneak around to get him the edge without getting caught.
Yeah, that could be, but then she's underestimating Jack Smith, which would be a big mistake because he's already planned for this. Everything she's doing, he's expected to happen.
Oh, absolutely. And she should be aware of that. She should not ever underestimate him. And she should know that by watching him, number one. And number two, as he handed her her butt through the appellate court once already, you would think that she would want to fly right and try to make up that big blunder. But no, she's doing it again.
But well,
Yeah,
yeah, you would think. I mean, she's got a lifetime appointment, which I think is
sure.
ridiculous.
I know.
I think all lifetime appointments should be rescinded. I think there
Yep.
always should be a term limit, and I'm talking about the Supreme Court too. There's no
Yep. I
reason to have a
agree.
95-year-old person on the Supreme Court that doesn't know how to fucking
Right.
tie their shoes. Uh,
Right, right.
we,
That's what I was thinking. And because my dad's 84 years old. Okay, his wife died last year and he runs his house by himself. My God, Mike, he's 84. He can barely take care of his house and
uh,
keep things up. I can't imagine him trying to run a country or trying to hold office. I just
no,
I can't imagine that. And to have a Supreme Court judge that's on the bench all those years, and like you said, they get up in age, and half the time they can't tie their shoes,
right.
but you expect them to dissent, a case in a decent manner? No.
I just think there should be a limit of 72 or 75. That's good cutoff point. They
Yeah, I
still have their
agree.
wits about them.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ. I retired from my job when I was 58. But then I still worked till about 61. And then at 62, I said, fuck it. I'm just going to, well, actually at 61, I just said, fuck it. I'm going to do TikToks and podcasts. I'm not going to do anything else. And I couldn't be happier. I mean, too many
I
people
bet.
work till they die.
Yeah.
And I want to spend the last 20 years or so traveling with my wife, doing fun stuff, chasing my granddaughter, doing
Absolutely.
whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah, absolutely. Being a grandpa, you earn these rights. You raise your kids, you work your butt off all your life to raise your family. Now you're seniors like us. It's time for us to enjoy life. Our
Yeah.
spouse, our grandkids, maybe start enjoying our adult kids, you know. But to have to continue to work yourself to death. A
Yeah.
lot of seniors are working at Walmart, Mike,
I
because they
know.
can't live on Social Security.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there are people who will work because that's their whole identity, but there are people that are
Yeah.
struggling, and that's what I find difficult. If you have the opportunity to just relax and enjoy life, for me, this time of my life is a lot like the time of my life when my wife and I were first married. We had freedom. We didn't have kids,
Oh, yeah. You
and
know, kids. Yeah.
you could go do fun stuff. But
Yeah.
if we want to deal with the kid experience, we can go see the granddaughter. I was going to tell this
Yeah.
story. Um, we were watching my granddaughter, and we were trying to get her to take a nap, and she's horrible to put down to take a nap.
Oh, yeah.
She's
That
always
age.
she's always got something to distract, divert, or whatever, delay the whole thing. But we're laying in my son's bed, and we laid down with her so she would go to sleep. Um, I don't know where this came from, but I'm laying on one side, my wife's laying on the other side, and she's in the middle. And
Mhm.
And I'm almost asleep. She's not asleep, but I'm almost asleep.
No.
And then I feel her do this. Grandpa, Grandpa.
Oh.
I go, what, honey? She goes, did you poop? And I go, no, did you? She goes, I think so. She was trying to blame it on me at first, and then she acknowledged, yeah,
Oh, how
it
funny.
was me. It was me. But
What a cutie.
you gotta and spend some time enjoying life. I mean, because
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, people always say, wouldn't it be great to go back when you're younger? I don't think I'd want to, because I know the shit in
No,
front of me that I have to go through again. I don't want to.
no, I'm with you. I want to enjoy my years I have left, my senior years. I want to enjoy them as much as I can.
Right.
I'm done, being stressed out, and I'm done working my butt off and taking care of patients. And you take care of people your whole life, and then you get to a point where, okay, now it's time to take care of me.
I tell people the best part of being retired is because I spent a lot of years getting up at 4:30 in the morning, going to work,
Yeah.
going to bed at 10, 11 at night and sleeping 5, 6 hours. And it was tough,
Yep.
but I was young. My favorite thing right now is I go to bed whenever I want and I get up whenever I want. It could be 6, it could be 9, it could be 8:30, it could be 10.
Yep.
Because I'm
Isn't
up.
that beautiful?
It is. It is wonderful. And the thing is that, because I do this podcast late at night, I may not get to bed till 2:30, maybe 3 o'clock in the morning, depending on what I'm
Yeah.
doing. And so, and that's fine. As long as I can keep my eyes open and my mouth moving, I'm fine. I go to bed,
Yeah,
I
makes
crash, I
sense.
wake up whenever I'm fucking done.
Yeah, that's me. I don't have a schedule except when I have doctor appointments, and
Yeah.
then I got to be on a schedule. But other than that, I am on my own schedule now. After all the years of getting up and taking care of people and working 12, 16-hour shifts 6 days a week. Yeah, I'm done with that.
And dealing with kids' problems. There was a
Yes,
period,
on top of that.
there was a period of time when my kids were first in college or getting out of the house.
Hmm.
I dreaded seeing their name come up on my phone
Oh,
because
I know.
I have boys. They don't call you just to chat. There's
Yeah,
always some
that's true.
shit going down, and it's on me to fix
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, every time they left the house, and the phone would ring, I would just
Yeah,
it's pray to God there was nothing wrong going on.
yeah, exactly. I'm glad I'm beyond that now. They're
Oh yeah,
older and more responsible. You still worry about them. You worry about the
yeah,
grandkids, but a little pressure's been taken off of us. Well,
yeah.
we're at that point. We're going to wrap up the Rational Boomer podcast, and Lisa, I appreciate you coming on the show today. It was short notice. We've been talking about it for a bit. I know you were a little tentative. You thought, well, maybe if you
I
get
was.
somebody else, but now you've done a
Yeah.
whole show yourself, and pretty easy, right?
Oh, you made it absolutely wonderful. Thank you. It was very easy, and I'm looking forward to doing it again, maybe with
Anytime you
somebody else.
anytime you want. When I first started doing the podcast, I always felt like I did better shows if I had a partner on it.
Yeah,
How people will do that. There'll be two people doing the show, but
yeah,
that always caused me a problem because you have to count on somebody else to be there at the
yeah,
same time every day. You get into a little bit of egos. Why are you doing this and
yeah,
I'm doing? And I said, fuck it. I'm going to make this easy. I'm just going to do the show myself. And then when the idea of getting the listeners on, people said, oh, that's crazy. That's not going to work. And I said, of course it'll work. And they said, how do you
yeah.
know it's going to work? And I said, because when I was young, I produced a lot of call-in talk shows on radio.
Oh wow.
This is just a call-in talk show, but one caller. That's all it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
And it
I
worked.
didn't know that about you. That's interesting. Okay, that's why you're so good at this.
Well, I worked in radio since I was 15 years old.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
Oh, wow.
I've done pretty much everything you can do in radio. And that's why, when I retired and I'm thinking, oh, I got to do something. What can I do? And I realized the only thing I can do is fucking talk. So naturally it
Yeah,
was TikTok and podcast. So I'm
There
just
you go.
I'm just utilizing the one talent I have. And I always tell people it's not so much that what I have to say is great. It's just that I'm able to talk a lot.
Yeah, yeah. See, I don't think I can do it. I did one live on TikTok and I
Yeah.
got so scared. I lasted exactly 2 minutes and I had to hang up because I got so scared and I was so nervous that I couldn't even open my mouth. So I just gave it up and I said, okay, I'm not going to do lives ever. But no, you made it completely easy and it was just wonderful. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for coming on. I like doing lives on TikTok. I really do because you can interact with people. My problem is I have plenty to talk about, but when I go beyond an hour, eventually the Trumplafucks come in and they take me
Yeah,
down.
yeah,
And
and they'll get you banned.
yeah, they will.
They like doing that. They go into people's lives and they get them banned.
Well, I've been taken down a couple of times, and then they tell you can't do a live for 2 weeks. And then
Right.
I just don't do lives that much. Every so often I do. And
Mm.
I've got a bunch of people who offered to be moderators, and
There you go.
they come on and they help out and they do a great job.
Yeah.
But sometimes it gets so bad they can't even keep up. So
Yeah. Yeah. I can't ever be a moderator. My brain doesn't work that fast anymore. I can't do it.
well,
I
and
mean, because you got to be quick.
you got to be very quick, and I'm kind of a shoot from the hip type of guy. So I don't give people warning when I'm going to do a live. I just do it. And then all the moderators going, oh shit, he's doing it now. So I
Oh
got to
no,
wait till
Mike, you're horrible. Oh no.
he's
Oh
here.
no. Yeah,
He's
I
doing it
was
again.
encouraging you to do the YouTube lives because um I'm partially deaf and so it's easier for me. I love listening to your podcast, but it's easier for me to watch your face and see your facial expressions and stuff so I can fully get the whole grip of the conversation, especially if you have guests. I can
Yeah.
watch them too. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
much easier for me. That's why I kept saying, yes, do YouTube live, do YouTube live,
I think I will.
because that way I can see you.
I think I will try YouTube live. I don't have as many uh, followers or peers or whatever on YouTube that I do on TikTok. So I don't know how busy it would be. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it'll be less busy, but
Yeah, more intimate, and then people will come in.
yeah, I think maybe I will try that. I tried it once accidentally. And then after that, I tried it on purpose and nobody showed up. So I thought, fuck it, I'm not doing that.
Well, next time, in a previous video, give them a time and date or something,
Good
or
idea.
a generalized, and saying, "Hey, I'm going to do this live. I'm going to try this. Why don't you guys join me at this date, this date, this date?" And you give them enough time, and then remind them like the day before, an hour before, whatever. Do a TikTok and say, "Join me on YouTube," and that way people will know you're there. Because I know there's a lot of us faithfuls that'll be there.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that and I should have. So I will do that. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow just for the fuck of it, just to see if I can
There
do it
you
on
go. I'll
phone.
be there.
Okay, I appreciate that. Well, Lisa, thank you for coming on the show. You're welcome anytime. We had a good time. We had a good conversation. And that's what
Yeah.
this is all about. Give people more information, keep them entertained if we can, and
Yep.
hopefully knock the shit out of some Republicans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have a great night. Enjoy Georgia.
I will. You too.